I'm sorry, Andrew Weissman, but if I recall correctly, in 2018, you were one of the people who helped write the Mueller report, and you all botched the hell out of that.
And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought we would be here. I thought we were better as a country.
Oh, yeah.
Like all these sites that have been around for creating videos and all that, like text stock videos, they're done.
But that's why Canva was one of the first to get into doing AI.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020, Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. I also am a content provider to a wonderful network called Indie Soup Media. And Indie Soup Media is an independent content creators network that has been up for about 4.5 months, has 15,000 YouTube subscribers, and, is powered by our good associate, Dr. Tachi, out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So you can catch edited versions of this conversation and other conversations that I'm part of on that platform. I forgot to also mention about the Dove Men Plus Care, the only online show that I co-host and co-produce about dads, fathers, and male caregivers. We've reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. So I forgot that part. So before we get down to some business, let's say hello to everybody. Let's see who's already in the room. Mini on cam, 45 got his shots right. Yes, we're going to talk about that. Don't worry. We're going to be chatting about that already, Mini on cam. And also Jen Myers, Primetime fan numero uno, is in the house. What is up? So for those who don't know, you are watching. And also JJ Mars is in the house, Colorado weatherman. What is going on? JJ Mars in the house. Hey, 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 hey. What is going on? But it's not about me. It's about Aisha K. Staggers, LaLa Key. What is going on, ladies? What is going on?
Boy, this has been a busy week. And you know what? It's going to continue to be busy because we are in the thick of this election now.
There we go. And yeah, you are on mute, Aisha.
We can't hear you, Aisha.
We can't hear you, Aisha.
I was going to say, you guys are lucky you got me because I actually feel better today.
This is good. And Shampy, welcome, Shampy. Blessing Saturday. Go ahead.
Well, because, last Monday I was diagnosed with a blood disorder that is inherited. Both parents have to have the trait. It's common. It's more prevalent, I should say, among Black folks and Southeast Asians, people whose ancestors are native to climates where malaria is high disease. So it operates like sickle cell, but it's not sickle cell. And I have extremely small blood vessels and not holding iron at all.
Wow.
So, I was, you're low on the low end, your iron should be 50. Mine was at 2.
Hold on. What yours is at 2, and what is it supposed to be at?
The low end of the normal is 50.
Wow.
Well, other than the grace of God, how are you alive?
I had an iron infusion yesterday.
Did you? Oh, that helps you feel better. That made you feel better.
Yeah, a little bit. I've been really tired today.
Understandable.
Yeah, I've been a little tired today, but it's kind of like the upside and downside. I'm on my I have a 4-week treatment. It's usually a 2-week cycle, but they doubled mine because I have so little. But the day before I decide to get this done, my body decides to come out of perimenopause for a minute.
Oh.
So I'm losing blood, which is like the last thing I need to be doing. But
What time?
I actually feel pretty good because the iron infusions have gotten they've gotten much more expeditious, I should say, because I've had them in the past. And they would take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half. This one was 15 minutes to 30 minutes. Actually, mine was a 15-minute drip. It took longer for them to find a vein for an IV.
Oh, wow.
Because of the small blood cells.
Wow.
You know, I can somewhat relate because whenever I go to my doctor, and people, I do say it over again, I go to my doctor every 3 months. Now I've actually accelerated, and just to keep on check, I'm now going to my doctor every 2 months.
Wow. I've been told that I should probably look at getting a port because I'm such a hard stick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't want that. But this is going to be, it's something I have to consider just because this is going to be a permanent part of my life now.
Oh, wow.
How often?
Huh?
How often will you have to do that?
Well, after the 2 months from yesterday. So I'll be evaluated for the 4 weeks to see where my iron is at. And then at that point, they'll decide if I need more or how I'm going to end up doing it. Thankfully, the B12 injections that I need to go with it, I already had. So I do that once a month anyway. But the debate was whether or not to do blood or to do iron. And we opted for iron because, you know, there are a little bit more issues when you have to do blood. I've had blood transfusions before. I always come up with a new allergy after I have a blood transfusion. But apart from that, just the more you get, the more dangerous it becomes health-wise. So kind of just focusing on that and, you know, looking at trying to find support for it, because a lot of Black people have the trait, but you only get the disease if 2 people have it, and then that's also the law of averages. You know, my parents have 3 kids together, and so one of the 3 was going to end up with it, just like
Right.
I have a friend who has sickle cell, and she and her brother, who's passed away, he was a police officer. He died on the job. But out of those 2, she ended up with sickle cell, and he just ended up with the trait.
Wow. Isn't that interesting? Genetics are amazing.
Yeah, they are.
You know, I think our appetizer could be as long as what we're going to be chatting about tonight. Well,
I think I'm getting answers, and you know, we're going to see how this affects my seizures, if this might actually be what's been behind
the root cause. Yeah, well, anything that can get to the root causes. And you know, I can somewhat relate because only my doctor has an easy time finding veins in my arm to get blood, because anywhere else, if it's not my doctor, they have a hard time pricking, and they're just hard time. So
I got to get the ultrasound. Usually they have to go get an ultrasound for me. It took an hour yesterday.
Oh,
What?
God.
What?
It took an hour yesterday for a 15-minute drip.
All right. LaLa, what's been going on in your part of the world? And by the way, people follow both these days, but LaLa Key, this is the 5th day this week that she's been on camera. The 5th day.
Yes. And I'm also doing daily TikToks and all those things about the case that is going on with my sisters. I'm fighting very hard. And I want to say this, which, you know, you think politics sometimes shouldn't be in certain things, but it always is. And so this week I got a true dose of just how much politics can divide people, even within the justice system. So, yeah, I'm on every day. But I used to do this all the time with Periscope, and I forget sometimes how much I missed it. And I've done some more beautiful things in my office. So you guys will be seeing some new parts of my office later. So, you know, I do what I got to do, but it's fun.
Well, as long as you're enjoying it, that's good. Let's catch up because there's a number of comments already. JG Mar says, hot day in Colorado, 98 degrees, watching Coach Prime build his Colorado Buffaloes football team. Also, Jen says is praying for Aisha. Mindy on Cam says, Doing good, trying to put together slides for last Fridays. You were on recently. And by the way, Minion Cam is on the Morning Vibe once a month, giving perspectives on being disabled and try to move ahead if you are disabled. So you should check her out on that. She now says it's now a chronic disability. Yep.
Yeah.
Jen Myers. Here's a word we haven't heard from a lot. She's recovering from COVID.
Yes, Jen told me earlier this week that she and her dad got it for the first time. And I was telling her, my middle sister, my nephew, also got it for the first time. I think there's a new strain out for people who haven't had it, that they're catching it, because I've had it, but two or three times. I haven't gotten it. But I also told my sister that you got to watch out for your puppies too.
Yes, you do.
We forget about the animals, because remember, they believe that this hopped from an animal to a human. So if that is possible, then the reverse can also be possible.
Exactly.
There you go. JG Mar says vitamin supplements are important for everybody. Minnie on Cam says, yes, when they struggle to find it, I asked for a butterfly needle. And Aisha responded back, they always start with me with a butterfly. My veins are also very curvy. And then JJ Mars talking about Coach Prime, says Prime has been pretty good about recruiting better players. They should be a better team this season. All right.
I mean, given what we just did at that HBCU, I think that Jackson State, I think that he'll do good in Colorado.
Okay. Before we get to our topics, a lot of main things. And just as we came on, so I'm just going to chat about it, family. For the last while, we've been able to simulcast on X/Twitter. And now, for some reason, we can't. Now, what were you saying in the chat, our private chat, Aisha, about not?
Well, when I went to go stream this to my audience on Twitter, I got a message that says that this feature is now only with a premium subscription. And my response was like, you can go straight to hell with that, because I'm not paying Elon a dime.
Nope. And I got the same message.
Wow. Okay.
So sorry to our audience that usually looks for us on Twitter.
Oh wow, Elon.
But, what I'm gonna end up having to do is go back to how we used to do it and just post the links so that they can watch on YouTube.
Watching the replay.
There are ways around it.
Well, yeah, because I much as possible try to give you guys the link ahead of time, so you can just post the link in Twitter on that. We'll see if they get around that. Minnie on Cam says, the episodic and chronic disability are the ones you manage in silent. People say stupid comments and how you don't look sick.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, I don't look like I've been on bed rest for the last 2 weeks, but I have been, and I am, as much as possible. So we'll have to actually invite Minnie to 10 and 10 to sit and talk about.
Yeah. Oh, get ready. She will go all in on it. She will go all in. Like, I mean, you can just sit back and she'll just go all in on it, 100%. So if you guys are up for it, I'll give you the contact information. You can set that up. So also, the whole situation with 45. You know, we're just in appetizer phase. But what do people have to say about this breaking story? You know?
Like I said before before we started filming was, if you allow people to bring guns to your rallies, you should not be surprised if they start shooting those guns. Because I've heard that on the ground and things, these people get drunk.
Yeah.
They show up drunk and they get drunk there. So I'm not surprised that this happened. I'm sure there was probably some little beef or something between two people. And one man pulled out his gun. The other one said, I got a bigger one. And then there you go.
No
comment.
I was going to ask LaLa, no comments. You just say, you're not doing a thing on this one, LaLa?
You know, when you preach violence, you get violence back. And I am a firm believer in the law of attraction. And this is what happens. And karma.
Okay. Well, it's a developing story. If you're watching this live, you know, there was an incident at a 45 rally in the last hour or so. So if I see any updates, I'll certainly relay them during this live conversation. If not, wherever, go over to whatever trusted source. I say
And there's so very
trusted,
few of those these days.
trusted source to get your updates. So Minion catches. I rewinded the live feed on 45 and was upset over his comments on mental illness. Oh boy. Oh boy. He was making comments, disparaging comments about mental, and that's not new for him. That's
And
not new.
it's not. Then it's not surprising that that happened, because honestly, personally, I don't think we'll ever get a full report, but there's part of me that feels like this was not by accident. I'm just saying, what a way to start your the week of your convention, right? This happens the day before the convention starts. I mean, we're talking about the same man who used to call the New York Post and the New York Times with articles about himself as someone else.
Isn't there a story called The Boy Who Cried Wolf?
The emperor has no clothes. I mean, they all these fairy tales compare to him, and he's always the villain. But here's my thing too, is that we're also talking about a man who for 2 weeks got only negative things from the media about Project 2025. And even then, he probably maybe got 3 or 5 minutes per show, and the rest was focused on Joe Biden on a debate that happened 2 weeks ago. And he's had other events since, and he signed other bills since, that they're focused on that. And Donald Trump doesn't take very kindly. He's not having attention for very long.
All right. So what I'm going to do, we just finished the appetizer, but what I'm going to do is that we're going to go for a break now, because there's a whole mess of things to chat about. I mean, and plus the ladies haven't been with us for 2 weeks. So that's on top of it. And I don't know. So should we go for a break now, or do you want to do the first conversation topic and then go for a break?
Go ahead and do the break, because we're going to get in the flow of, we're going to get in the serious flow.
Yeah.
Okay. And I heard that Kentucky voice, so I'm going to follow that Kentucky voice. And I'm just going to go. All right, family. We'll be back in about a minute and a half, because I'm going to go. We're going to get Kentucky eyes today. So we'll see in a minute.
Hello, everybody. My name is Paige. I am a marketing consultant and the host of More Than a Mom, the podcast. I am here at the Soundwave Summit, and I had the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Vibe, and the gems he dropped were unmatched. An accidental conversation really changed my whole plan. And if I had him 3 years ago when I started my consulting career, it would have made a major change. The biggest thing that I learned that I'm taking with me is understanding that I do not have a show, I have a solution. And I think that's something that's not talked about enough. Another thing that really adjusted my mindset was the power of positive language. I was telling him about some of my problems are asking for help. I'm always pouring into other people, but it's hard, and it's a problem that I can't get that same thing in return. And he said, it's not a problem. It's something that, what did you say? Not a problem. You said, oh, it's a challenge. It's something that's a challenge for me. And that simple adjustment of language, I went away to lunch and I called 4 people and I'm like, hey friends, we need to change our energy. We need to change our outlook. We are solution-driven people. We do not need to do things the way society tells us to do things. This checklist that we feel like we need to fall under, this 10-minute conversation we had, it changed up everything. So I'm so thankful for the gems. I feel like I'm gonna go back and make a whole new to-do list that's based on how I need to do things, a different way of looking at things, and I'm just so thankful. So thank you, Dr. Barb.
I love that.
More of the mom. Yeah, she's right. Yeah, we had a great conversation. I said, hey, would you want to just do a testimony, friends? And that's what she came up with. So thank you, Paige. And actually, we should invite her on the show too. She would definitely add some great takes. Hey, Ryan, what is up? The violence is absolutely snowballing. Terrible. I'll save it for one of the topics. And look who's in the house, Dr. Tachi, or is it Dr. Tache? is in the house. Dr. Tache. JJ Mars says this is unfortunately probably a sign of more things to come. Shake my head. Ryan says, love the new clip playing during the break. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that. Hey, did you go on your trip yet, Ryan? I thought you were supposed to be going to LA. Have you gone on your trip yet? Well, we'll get to that. We'll get you tell me in the chat. So a few things for the family. Primetime Saturday Show Store. Here is the link. Patreon. Here is the link. And it sounds like they're going to have Minnie on cam soon. OMG. You better be ready for that.
Yeah, we actually didn't get to finish our 10 and 10 this week because we were recording and somehow the recording like 45 minutes in stopped and we were still talking for like another 45
minutes.
Realized. So we're going to continue it this week.
Okay. All right. Join the Primetime Saturday Discord group. See, and you think these conversations go long, family? You heard what you hear what you just heard? You hear what you just heard? All right. And if you want to join the Discord group, email me dr.vibe@thedr.vibe.show.com. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. And like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And also to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the shows, this one and that I'm a part of, email me dr.vibe@thedr.vibe.show.com. And I have a little announcement. The Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel is now hit 1,500 subscribers.
Oh, wow. Yay.
Thank you. And these ladies have been a large part of that. So 1,500 subscribers. Hey, but don't stop subscribing because I want it 2,000 next. You hear what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying?
Go on and get that goal.
Okay. Now Ryan says yes. LA in August, very excited. So I know when you're going now. Absolutely. And Dr. Tasha, what are you saying oh no about? What are you saying
about our
no?
10 and 10?
Okay.
But the tragedy that was the failure to record the other half.
Oh my goodness. And
it was so juicy. It was so juicy.
Sure was.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think
that's okay because we can bring a lot of it here because we still have so much to say.
You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Minnie on Cam. You're part of this success. JG Mar says, congrats. Yay to 1,500. Dr. Chachi saying yay to 1,500. She has 14,000 in 4 months, and she's saying yay to 1,500.
I love it.
Well, at least I think we're a part of that. So we're part of the 14,000 club. We'll see if we can get everyone to the next level. All right. Appetizers done. Let's go. Media and Dems still discussing June debate while voters are solidly behind Biden. Ladies, it's been 2 weeks since I know LaLa's discussed this on various platforms. I don't know how much Aisha has, but
a lot.
Okay, let's just go for it.
And the feedback has been good because I can tell you, I have one post where, for example, Jen Psaki, who you all should remember was the former press secretary for the White House for President Biden. She now has a show on MSNBC, and she fell into that whole trap where she's interviewing Quentin Fulks, who is running Joe Biden's campaign. And I tweeted out that, it's funny to me that Jen Psaki is acting like she doesn't know when she just left that administration to get a TV show.
Yeah.
And almost a little over 900 people liked that post and a couple hundred shared it. And that was last week, and it's still circulating. And that tells me that's about as many people as we see sampled in these surveys, these supposed polls that say people are, that Joe Biden is, not doing well. But guess what? Those are Democratic people that, like my stuff. Those are people that are supporting Joe Biden that liked it. So where is this? It's kind of like one of those things where are they getting these people that they're polling that are saying something totally different? Because my engagement with regular people on the ground, regular voters through social media, through other forums, in Zoom calls with Democrats across the country is that they might not be happy about, the fact that we have these two old men to choose from. However, they know it's at stake and they're solidly behind the candidate that they voted for in the primary. And that's the part that is pissing a lot of people off, because it's like, wait, now you're telling me that my vote does not count. I voted for this person in the primary, and now you're telling me my vote doesn't count because you all want to have a brokered convention.
I want a do-over. I listen, let me say this first and foremost. I am voting for Biden. I know what's at stake. I know the danger that's going to happen. I'm fully aware of what's going to happen. Am I angry that we are at this point? You damn right I am. I want to do over so bad in my head. I wish I had a magic wand so I can go cha-ching. Can we get a couple of other candidates that are just not, we're not dealing with this? Because I still feel the same way that I've always said, in the fact that America couldn't come up with two better candidates than the ones that we have now. Now, I will never take away anything from Biden in the fact that I do know what he has done for our country, and he does know how to run this government. He's a career politician. He knows what it takes. He does have the respect of the world. But I also feel like, can we please get him to be so very eloquent when he, like, we see, you don't hear the ones where he's being eloquent. You only see the ones that seems like the big ones where he's just not, it seems like he's not there. Like, I have to admit, Aisha, I'm really upset about the fact that at NATO, he got names mixed up. Like, this was the world platform. However, world leaders still got behind him. And even the Ukrainian president came out and said, look, it was just a mistake. It's all right. People understand that. But see, the perception has been put out there. So not only now do we have to fight that, we have to fight the people within our own party. You see, how is this different than the MAGA fighting regular Republicans? We can't do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
This is what I'm worried about. This is what upsets me, and this is what angers me.
But see, I get that. But I also get that you're seeing it from a different perspective, from outside, from being an American outside right now. Now, in America, no one's listening to it. The NATO thing went over a lot of people's heads. No one paid attention to it. The cable news has reported these last 2 weeks, they've been reporting on this steady stream of Joe Biden. They've had their lowest ratings in 12 months in the last 2 weeks. Okay, so that tells you that loyal people are not tuning in. I think it was, what was it? MSNBC, their average during the daytime hours was 350,000, 500,000 people. Yeah, I think that was what it was.
Wow.
500,000 people. That's what they averaged.
Wow.
We're talking about going from a couple million, okay? So that is a lot, and that says a lot at in terms of how people are thinking and feeling, and they're still reporting on it. The more they're reporting on it, the more they're losing people. People are seeking alternative forms from their news media. Like we like Midas Touch. People are going to Midas Touch. I suggest going to Sirius XM channel 126 Urban View. That's Black Talk Radio. I hear Black people call in all the time, sharing the same thing that you're saying, LaLa. But the thing is that they also are sharing this perspective in that, here are the two choices, but the people actually spoke when it came to who these two choices were going to be. So then who do we blame for that? Because when people had a chance to speak on both the left and the right, they didn't. And they spoke with their vote, which was to kind of, for the most part, fall in line on both sides. And now they're more concerned about the fact that it seems like their own party the same party who wants to champion voting rights is also disenfranchising large swaths of the base. And the motivation behind it is really because they really are behind finding a white male to replace Joe Biden, a young white male. Also, too, this is something that I've noticed in just watching the reaction and how people are talking about it. The people who are most loudly talking about replacing Joe Biden are white men. You're not going to get white men back to the Democratic Party. And this is the game that they're playing. Let's be very clear. White men are not the majority of the base. Their voice in the base is so small. This feels like a coup within the party where these white men are trying to take back power. Because I think that they realize that after Joe Biden serves another four years, there will be a long time before you have a white man prominently on the ticket who is, of a certain age. You might have a 35-year-old if they can find one, but for the most part, you're going to look at, it's going to be someone of color, someone who doesn't identify as a heterosexual, straight Christian white male on the left. This is just what it is. Look at the ones who come out. Rob Reiner, George Clooney, Michael Moore, okay? And all of them have come out and have floated around names like Gavin Newsom. They floated around names of white men.
That will never work.
They float around names of white men I don't even know, but the name that they're not floating around is Kamala Harris. And I'm going to tell you one thing else that you need to be aware and be, when we say stay woke, we mean stay woke. Because here's the thing. Even if Joe Biden decides to step down in 2 years, there's the vice president. She's right there. We have a line of succession for if the president can't do the job once elected. Right. So it's going to be okay, even if he can't get through a full year. Okay, we have a vice president who's very strong in terms of making sure these policies get implemented. But here's the scary part, particularly for white men, because the levers of power will shift dynamically in this country if that should happen and Kamala Harris does become president. Because guess who becomes vice president? If Hakeem Jeffries wins Speaker of the House, he becomes vice president. For the first time, this country will be run by a Black and Southeast Asian female president and a Black vice president male from New York. And the lever of power would have shifted. We will have, in the first time in this country, have two people of color and a woman, president and vice president. And people are really worried about that.
I'm gonna catch up on some comments, some of them about what both you are sharing, some about the breaking story about 45. So Dr. Tad says, I saw Biden at the rally in Detroit yesterday, and he seemed strong, actually. It was live
really
on Kamala Harris's YouTube page, VP. Yep. Regina, 45 was shot a few minutes. He wasn't shot. I don't think he was shot. I'll go to Pennsylvania and whisk away. I'm hearing different stories but there was loud bangs, actually. Have you seen, Regina says, have you seen the comment sections on the YouTube videos for CNN? People are trashing Anderson Cooper. Regina says our local congressman. Our local congressman asked Biden to step down. Let me tell you, he had no support on his official site. People said this guy is going to lose their votes if he doesn't retract his statement.
Same thing's happening with the funding. Their funding is drying up too.
Regina Ferris says, hey there. Oh, Dr. Tachi says, hey, Regina, saw this, very interesting. He says, lost his shoes. I noticed none of his supporters jumped up to shield him. Regina says, I want Jasmine Crockett for president.
I'm sorry, but I like that. I like that comment.
I do too. But America's not ready for that.
No, they're not.
I want to jump in here and bring in a media report, and it's from a organization that I respect, NPR.
Yes.
And there was this is a transcript going from, I think, what was the name of the program? They have run an afternoon program, All Things Delivered. And there was a conversation between Mary Louise Kelly, who's one of the hosts, and Domenico Montanaro, who's their senior political correspondents. I'm just going to read some of this. So Mary Louise Kelly says, Domenico, the conversation these last couple of weeks has been Biden, 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 Biden. How much does this result, though, reflect how people feel about 45? A lot. I think it's a good reminder. I mean, they just did a recent poll, and they said this poll clearly shows that there's still heavy antipathy toward the former president. As I've said for a while, there's probably a majority of the country that doesn't want 45 to be president, but he could still win because of third parties and those who stay home. Now, the poll found a majority said neither man should be on the ballot, but a warning sign for 45. This was really interesting. 68% said that it's more concerning to have a president who doesn't tell the truth compared to just 32 who say it's a bigger deal to have a president who's too old to do the job. I have to say that every election that we've seen since 2016 in some ways has been about 45. This one was trending that way, and the Biden campaign certainly wants to continue to make it a referendum on 45. And this latest episode with the debate that does threaten to make an election on the referendum on Biden, which, by the way, is usually for an incumbent president who's running for re-election. Then Mary Louise Kelly asked, well, a lot of people didn't like Project. You know what? I'll stay quiet on that because we're going to chat about that in a minute. But I'll just stop that for now. Anyone have anything to say about those comments?
I mean, the thing of it is that the focus, I think the idea that the focus being on Joe Biden's age and all of these other things, you gotta remember, when we talked about it on our 10 and 10 that we didn't get to finish, one of the things that we talked about was how New York Times got caught making up stories, lying, flat out lying. The media that we're supposedly trusting,
Right.
it is not reliable anymore, and it's all of it. And it's like you have to seek out other sources of information, because they've already reported that all of the people who are at the top of these outlets, top of New York Times, top of NBC, top of CNN, all these outlets are Republicans who will be at the convention this week. Okay, these are Republicans. They're basically they drive the narrative. And so the narrative that they want is Biden can't do the job.
Right.
Because they want to influence voters. But here's the conundrum that Democrats have now. If Donald Trump wins, it will be because Democrats do a brokered convention. Because you're worried about different blocks staying home. You disenfranchise 14 million people and tell them that their vote doesn't count by you, a small group of you deciding for those 14 million people who the nominee is going to be. That's 14 million people that might sit home. You skip over that Black woman to put anybody else in her place. The 98% of Black women that you have that will turn out to vote, you're going to see that drop drastically. And let's be very clear, Black men are also behind Biden in numbers that they're not behind Trump. So even that narrative doesn't fly. Remember, Trump got less of the Black male vote in 2020 than he got in 2016.
I want to jump in here. And I know there are people who have a lot of divided opinions on this gentleman. And he's interesting. Dr. Umar Johnson was on the Breakfast Club in the last few days, but he had something interesting to say about 45. He said when 45 came into office, the Supreme Court, or he pushed the Supreme Court having the death penalty pushed through on about 10 different people, and 5 of them were black men. And he said, Black men ain't that smart. Here's a guy that's killing your own. And say, he says he doesn't understand Black men. This alleged you're going to make more money is more important than Black life. It was a very, and There's some things that Umar Johnson but it was a very
Umar Johnson lies and steals. I'm sorry, his word has no weight with me whatsoever. I'm still waiting to hear about what he did with those donations for that supposed school for black males.
But I thought it was.
I take his point, but I just
I agree. I agree, but I thought it was very interesting that, and hey, black people can.
And he
vote.
showed up to the Breakfast Club. I'm sorry,
Right.
any person that's speaking for black people and shows up to the Breakfast Club, I don't. Why?
Okay.
Kermit is not interested in black people and black people's issues.
All right. I will get back to some other comments. Dr. Tachi says,
You don't have strong feelings about Kermit.
yes, I know that.
About Leonard.
Dr. Tachi says it's very interesting how this quote incident unquote happened right before the start of the GOP convention. Very
Just
convenient.
said
What Aisha said.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
I sure
Regina
did.
said probably one of his redneck followers drank too much beer and began shooting. I don't know.
I also said that too.
And it did look like blood on the side of his face. And
Yeah, they said that there was.
Regina
You could
says,
see it.
and his comb over was displaced. That's not nice, Regina.
What was the truth? I saw the picture.
Yeah, his ear is bleeding.
Okay,
I
well,
don't
but
know if maybe something hit him or maybe he fell. I don't know.
so Aisha, though, let me ask though, do you not think though Biden is in some trouble?
No. And I'm gonna tell you why. The media saying he's in trouble. The voters are like, can we, you know what? We knew he was old when we went and voted for him. Okay. He's been old. We knew he gaffes. Joe Biden, people are expecting Obama level eloquence out of a man who's always talked like this. Joe Biden has always talked like this. Why are people it's like expecting blood from a rock.
Okay, but you mentioned Barack Obama. There were reports this week that Barack Obama has concerns about Biden winning a re-election.
Barack Obama had concerns.
Alleged. That was alleged. That was not proven, and that was not him and Pelosi. That was alleged.
I'm gonna tell you something. What I want to know is why these little petty people keep running to the media to flood stories, but at the same time saying that they're worried about Trump winning. If you're worried, shut your mouth. Stop running to the media to stir up stories about stuff. And then here's the thing: if you are going to do it, have to put your name out there. George Clooney is a prime example. George Clooney's out here talking out both sides of his neck. George Clooney also spoke with Joe Biden this week. Okay? And apparently that was a good conversation. But now he changes his mind. Ashley Judd came out of her crypt to say that Joe Biden needs to step down. When was the last time you ever heard from Ashley Judd?
Out of her crypt. Oh, God.
So right now, again, like
man, I think you got some Kentucky blood in you tonight, girl. You got some Kentucky blood in you tonight. Out the crypt. Oh my gosh.
But we're at silly season in politics right now, where you're going to see a whole bunch of people come out. Let me tell you something. Tim Ryan came out. Bennett came out. Cenk Uygur came out against him. Who else? Dean Phillip. A whole bunch of other people. Guess what? All those people have in common. They all ran in a primary, either 2020 or 2024, against Joe Biden and lost. Why will I take the opinion of losers to this man as, oh, he should step down? He should step down. So what? So you can run? And here's the other part too, is that you're saying he should step down. You haven't offered a solution.
The solution is not there.
Who then, in less than 4 months, are Democrats going to rally behind and vote at least 75 million to 80 million people show up and vote for this person? Who has that kind of lame recognition? That's not Michelle Obama, because get it out of your head and respect the woman. She says she doesn't want to do it. Kamala Harris, y'all don't want her. You want a white male. So who is going to do it? Who is the one?
Yeah, the no solution thing.
Gavin Newsom is solidly behind Joe Biden. Don't say Gretchen Whitmer, because Gretchen Whitmer she said that's silly talk. I'm behind Joe Biden. So who is it going to be? That's the first thing. Second thing, how are you going to raise the money necessary in the next for the next 3 months to promote this person and remind people. Remember too, we're also getting close to the fact that early voting starts very, very soon, and those ballots have to be printed up. You put a new candidate on that ballot, Republicans said they're going to sue. That's the first thing. You have to worry about that suit being tied up all the way to the election. Because Supreme Court, we saw how quickly the Supreme Court came back on immunity, right? So don't think that they're not going to come back like the 11th hour before the election with this decision. There's that part too. But then also, you're going to risk confusion. You've got older people who are set on Joe Biden. They're going to go to the and look on the ballot and look for Joe Biden. And his name's not going to be there. Somebody else's name that they don't know is going to be there. Do you know what they will do? They will skip that box and keep going to the down ballot races. So what is the solution to fix all of these little hiccups that will happen if you put somebody else on the ticket? And remember, that person is not guaranteed the money raised by the Biden-Harris campaign. Only Kamala Harris is the one who gets that money grandfathered in. And there are people who are donors who are saying that if she is the person that they replace him with, they will not release those funds. So what's the solution other than the complaining?
All right. Dr. Chad says the bottom line is, from what I'm seeing, nobody believes this is real. This is what happens when you cry wolf all the time. So I don't know what you're talking exactly. And she goes,
one
yes.
spectator is dead and one is injured.
Okay, yes, Biden has always rambled, so this is not new for him. Dr. Tachi says, and Regina says, Dr. Tachi, it was faked. I have another answer. I want to ask.
Here's the news. One spectator is dead, another injured, and the shooter is dead.
Okay. So my question, so another aspect I want to bring up too, we talk about money and politics. So, let's bring up this. Should be earth-shattering news. Elon Musk endorses 45 for president after incident.
He'd already pledged X number of dollars to his campaign. Why are people surprised? Elon Musk endorses Trump after this incident, and you mean to tell me that this was not faked? I'm sorry, but Donald Trump is not above killing people, because remember, he has immunity.
Excuse me, did we both not just get that message saying that we had to go to premium to go live?
That's why I brought it up. That's why I brought it up. That's why I brought Mr. Musk up. Okay.
You're not using my money to support that. I'm not giving you any of it.
Nope.
Not even a dime.
Nope. And the part of it is that there are so many people on Twitter who are so desperate to have blue checks when they were coveted, when Twitter was owned by Jack, that now that Elon offered them ways to getting it, it's hard to find people that don't have blue checks.
Okay, I also want to bring up this story. Donors to pro-Biden super PAC are said to withhold roughly $90 million.
Okay, can I tell you about this super PAC?
I think you're going to tell us. Okay.
I went and did research on it. What is it called? What's it called again?
Let me
it's in the article. Forgot.
Yeah, it's called Future Forward.
Future Forward. I went and did research on Future Forward. Future Forward in January pledged $250 million of support as a super PAC to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's campaign. Okay, $250 million. So they're withholding $90 million of that $250 million. But guess what? They haven't spent any of it even up through the debate. And they have been criticized largely by Democrats for not doing the heavy lifting of ads and helping to put out the ads that show what Joe Biden has been doing for the last almost 4 years. And so they've already come under criticism. So for them to say, oh yeah, we're withholding $90 million. Well, you've been withholding that whole $250 million since you pledged it. So you're not doing anything different.
Okay.
Once again, this is harmful. I'm sorry. I have
Yeah.
to say this is harmful.
Mhm.
Everything that is being reported is making it look like we are weak. This calling on Biden to step down when you know, well, we can't do this now. We can't. There is no other option. You're not putting any options in our place. And like Aisha said, she ran down everything that we'd have to do in order to do that. This is put out for division and more separation, because they obviously know that our votes are powerful enough that they don't like the way that this is going. So therefore, they're going to try to divide us, just like their party is divided. You better be careful about what you believe and what you don't believe. And you need to do the research before you start making decisions. Now, listen, I try to be very careful about what I believe. But when I read that, I was very upset. Do you hear me? Because the first thing that came out to my mind was, oh my God, we are really here now. A few months before the final election, we are here right now. And that's what angers me the most, that this is such a chaotic and disruptive and disheartening situation where we all are fighting over the smallest of things. I like, the glass is blue. No, it's blue, it's purple. I'm tired and I'm exhausted about this, and we should not be here. We are a better nation than that. I like to think so. But what you're showing me is that we're not. We're going to continue to be divided.
And that's the problem, I think, with the media narrative, is that the Democratic Party, the voters on the ground, are not divided. It's clear. Latinos are behind Joe Biden. The blocks that matter are behind him. You can read whatever poll you want, but remember, they're skewing the poll toward Republicans. When 60% of the people that you're asking a question about a Democrat are Republican, you're going to get what you get. I mean, you shouldn't expect it to go in Joe Biden's favor, but this is what's happening, and we're expecting that. I think, though, it's not so much that the voters are divided. The media is divided, and the media is creating and sowing division. It's not the base that they're worried about. You know what they're worried about? They're worried about getting independence, period. But guess what? We knew from the last election, the independents didn't really swing the last election. When you sit and think about it, they did not. The base showed up. The independents didn't swing the election. They were icing on the cake, so Joe Biden won by a larger amount than Trump. But Joe Biden clearly won because of the base. The base is not divided. And also, too, again, I have to say this. These articles, these complaints are largely by white men, and the target is white men. But white men have not been the base of the Democratic Party since the 50s. So let's stop trying to play this game that what you're saying is gonna have that kind of drastic impact when the voters that you're trying to target are like this amount of the base. They're not listening to the rest of the base. You have Black people who are like, wait, we're not being sampled as much. We're not being asked as much. When you have this, say you have 100 people that you're surveying, 60 of those people are Republican, 40 are Democrats, but only 1% of the 40% is Black and brown. And the majority of that 40% are white males over 50.
Aisha, watch your health.
I'm sorry, but those are the results that you get. That is why, people say the polls, this poll, that poll. You know what? Anytime I see a poll, the first thing I do is I go and look for their raw data. I go and look to see who they surveyed. I go and look to see what is their margin of error. And I'm sorry, anything in any margin of error 5 and over. Why are we paying attention to that? That is insane. Okay, anyone who knows, Dr. Tachi knows this. Anyone who knows anything about statistics, data, and research analysis, I'm sorry, but a margin of error of 7.9%, and we're supposed to take that poll as gospel?
All right, let's catch up on some comments. Regina says 45 has no immunity as a candidate. Dr. Chachi says, Regina, things seem to be an opposite for him to create a news cycle around himself, so people don't believe when and if something actually happens, it's his own fault. I think she's
Yeah.
talking about 45 there. And then Regina says, honestly, anything being reported about Biden, I am taking with a pound of salt. Dr. Tachi says, this is the case when you need to keep family business inside the family. You don't need to run the media with every small thing. People should learn to talk less.
Black people rules. That's what I said. That's what I said on Twitter. I'm like, they need to learn black people rules.
Regina says Biden is not stepping down. I believe it will all settle down this week. I have hope despite the media invented narrative. Regina says polls are BS. Barack was behind Romney in the polls 1 month before the 2012 election.
Actually,
Yeah.
Barack, wait. Actually, it was so bad that let's not forget Mitt Romney thought he won.
Yeah, he
had
did.
prepared an acceptance speech. It was right before he went on the stage. Somebody finally pulled him. They knew he was losing, but they didn't tell him until they had to pull his coattails and say, hey, you've got to concede, because not only did you lose, you lost really big. And he was shocked. Don't forget, the polls had Hillary Clinton up 10 to 15 points in all the battleground states, and she lost every last one. Because why? Those polls had her thinking, oh, I don't need to go there. I don't need to go there and shore up that because it says I'm this far ahead. And by not showing up, especially not to places like Milwaukee and Detroit or Philadelphia,
Yeah.
she gave that away to him because she believed a BS poll. So let's really stop. You know, a lot of these polls that you see too, any poll with some of these universities, you got to also look at the universities. There are a lot of Catholic colleges, religious universities that are engaged in these polls. And I think that if they're going to start engaging in the polling process and affecting our politics, that they should no longer be considered tax-exempt institutions.
Agree. Totally agree.
And look, and I say that even about some universities here that are on the national stage. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. And Regina Frisk is very right. Trump does not have immunity as a candidate. However, we're seeing that is actually may not be true, because guess what? The judge in New York is reviewing that case on the basis of that he had limited immunity, especially considering that the majority of the acts that were done prior to the election to impact the election when he was still a candidate. So, and he's claiming immunity on that. So clearly, what the Supreme Court did, it's like basically saying that doesn't matter. And let's be very clear. People are holding candidate Biden to a much higher standard than they're holding President Biden. Right
Exactly. Now that's true.
President Biden, he's never stopped. You know, he had a gaffe, but guess what? He didn't stop doing the job. He hasn't stopped doing the job. You all are acting like this man, oh, he can't do the job. You're saying he can't do the job while he's doing the job. You're saying he's too old to do the job while he's doing the job. You want to know why a neurologist visited the White House 8 times? He had his one neurology visit, right? And let's not forget, Joe Biden had a brain aneurysm. Okay? He had a brain aneurysm, 20 years ago or so? A little bit more? 24 years ago? So why would he not see a neurologist regularly? I have migraines. I see a neurologist regularly. I have seizures. I see a neurologist regularly. That's part of your upkeep in health. But also, let's not forget that just because a doctor or a specific type of doctor came to the White House doesn't mean that he saw Joe Biden. Let's not forget all those papers and documents that were released about Donald Trump and the doctor that came to the White House to administer X number of prescriptions of OxyContin. They weren't all going to Trump. When they released the reports, they found out that even though he came to the White House, he was seeing people on staff. So how many people on Joe Biden's staff at the White House do you think probably have issues that require a neurologist? A few.
No,
Not
no,
and
they're not going to report that.
and guess what else you're going to see a neurologist do at the White House? Advise the president on Parkinson's legislation, because that's who you would see, a neurologist, if you have the signs of Parkinson's. Okay. And so Joe Biden, what did he do this last week? He signed Parkinson's legislation. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to ask an orthopedic surgeon to come and advise me on Parkinson's. I'm not going to ask a gynecologist to advise me on Parkinson's. I'm going to ask a neurologist, hey, you might want to come here. Can you advise me on this mock-up of it? Can you advise me on this mock-up of it? Can you look at this for the final thing before I sign this? But here we are talking about President Joe Biden and, his stutter and inability to deliver, like Barack Obama, a speech that inspires people. Meanwhile, you got a whole former president here who was shot at, and a gun issue that's out of order, and we're not focused on that. A candidate was shot at. So do we now deal with guns? Can we get off Joe Biden?
No. Now that when it's them, the story changes.
Oh, what I want to know is if they're going to look at this person as a hero, like Ashley Babbitt.
That will be very interesting to see.
Is this one of your J6 hostages?
Just asking.
Just saying.
All right. Mini on cam. Regina has a comment, but I'm not going to put it up publicly. She just says, I'm turning on Fox right now to watch them go blank crazy. Mini on cam goes, just because a doctor visits doesn't mean they're a specialist in their condition. Regina says, the irony, guns, the violence is terrifying. They are crying on Fox. As Malcolm once said, quote, the chickens are coming home to roost. And then Mini on cam said, when they submit their application for an SSS-DI, you are seen by anyone that not a specialist in your health condition.
Exactly. You know what? Here's my thing. It's ironic that the Dems are talking about a brokered convention, because the last brokered convention was 1968 when Lyndon B. Johnson stepped down. That was also the same year that there was an assassination attempt on the person that might succeed him, which was RFK. And all of a sudden, you got Trump's going to be talking about how there was an assassination attempt on his life.
Oh, watch that!
Honestly, that's going to be the narrative, and that's going to be the narrative because he needs something. This is his October surprise. He needs something to boost people's sympathy and to energize his base. Because guess what? Even though they're behind him, they're not energized the way. And not only that, but this goes back to something Dr. Tachi said earlier about Joe Biden's rally last night in Detroit. I am not surprised that this happened today at Trump's rally. Why? Because last night, Joe Biden had the best rally he's had this entire campaign season. I mean, it was the audience was there. I mean, it was louder than any Joe Biden rally I've ever heard. Okay. So Trump, I'm not surprised this happened at Trump's thing today. I'm just not. I do not. There's just in me. It's very hard to think or to even feel that this wasn't a setup that went terribly wrong.
Regina says Biden is saying he is praying for the victims, and political violence is never acceptable. Anything else you want to say before we move on to our next conversation piece? For now,
just that. Are we surprised that we've gotten here?
Well, Regina says this: except that it's about gun violence, Second Amendment issues. People, what is 45 going to say now?
I'm looking at the comments on Instagram, and they are not failing to deliver. Somebody actually said they hired the shooter from Temu.
Oh, that's wrong.
But no, but guess what's trending? Guess what's trending on X? Staged.
That's what they're
That's
saying on Instagram as well.
Dr. Tati says, unfortunately, chicken's coming home to roost. April Watson
on
says
Twitter.
the shooter is dead. So
Yeah, yeah. Conveniently, right?
Minnie on cam loves the Temu comment.
Can I read to you some of these?
Go ahead. It's your lady show. I'm just steering the
Trump
ship.
shooting was staged? Look, my 2 cents. Do you think that Trump shooting was staged? Donald Trump continues to play in our faces. This was so staged. If someone really wanted to take him out, they wouldn't use a BB gun. Apparently, that's what it was. It looks very staged. Sounded like a BB gun. No one in the crowd is running or panicking. I'm pretty sure this crap was staged. Got to pay your crisis actors better. They've never looked so unbothered. Yeah, staged. Paintball attack staged. Reality show TV president staged. I mean, it's like it is just like it's the number one trending topic in the US that this is staged.
So what is Fox saying, y'all? Fox is probably sitting all crying, oh my God. This is horrible. This is just sorry. Sorry. This is the show.
Yep.
Hey,
sorry, this smells staged.
That's what it is. Sorry. Had to say it, had to call it. That's what it is.
So guess what? This will be all they're going to talk about during the convention. Speeches are being rewritten right now to say the violence is coming from the left. That's because they don't want us to win. It'll get drowned out that these were actually his people.
Dr. Tachi says, I saw the Temu comment too.
What did Temu say again?
No, but Temu, like it's the
shooter was hired by Temu.
The website. Regina says 45 looked totally panicked. Mm-hmm. And Regina says his hairpiece was askew.
Well, here's the thing.
You're not kind people.
Look, he looked totally panicked because guess what? It probably wasn't supposed to go down like that. But I'm gonna say this. Well, I'm looking at it right now. What I don't understand is why the people behind him are sitting there like spectators. Like they just saw a UFC fight.
I'm telling you,
why was the Secret Service
going on? Everybody's saying the same thing.
Service so far away. Yeah. But why was the Secret Service so far away? They had to come up on the stage. Why weren't they on the stage already?
Yeah, this is garbage. Yeah, look, well, I just
they get him to stand up and he raises his fist and he's like, fight who? Those are your people. Fight who? Fight MAGA? Aren't you MAGA? This is what happens though. When
I love it when LaLa laughs like this. Like she just like sometimes I think she's gonna wet her pants the way she laughs.
But this is what happens when your own people in your own cult. Eventually, what happens when you get too crazy? They turn on you because they want out.
Oh no! Doc, you guys are not nice, Dr. Tachi. Not an askew hairpiece, and puts a laugh emoji.
The other part. Oh, yeah, his hairpiece was askew because he had to straighten it. You know what? Other part is the part that. Oh, also too, his dentures are askew.
You guys are so mean.
The bottom one. The part that got me too was also the fact that look, he's up here fight. It's like, dude, you realize they're trying to protect you. You gotta come down. You gotta walk down. They had to carry him down. Oh, and the bald spot.
Oh my God!
And he fell. He fell.
All right.
And he fell while they're trying to carry him down.
It goes. Regina says the violence is coming from the people who should not have access to guns.
There you go.
And Regina also goes, well, considering who his supporters are, Aisha, they all have guns.
Exactly. Remember, he was the one who wanted them to take the mags away so these people could go with the guns to the Capitol. He thought, look, eventually it was going to come home on you. I'm sorry. There are some people very upset that they went to jail behind that man. Okay?
Oh,
Very
yeah.
upset. Don't think that they're not upset.
Yeah.
They spent time in prison, and you got convicted on 40 felony counts, but you're still walking around.
So the good one now is you can't see it. It says Trumpy Smollett.
Oh, okay. Let's move on. All right. Minion Cam goes. They had 15 people hovering over 45 to move him to his vehicle while he was.
Oh yeah, those are the Secret Service people who none of were on the stage, which I don't understand.
And then, but of what use were guns during this event? Something is not right here, Dr. Tachi says.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
no,
also to remember, his people are very mean to people that they think are on the left. They start throwing rocks at them and carrying them out. And all of a sudden, you made room for somebody to open. At what point did this person lift up a gun to fire it? And everyone standing around them just was like, okay, do you.
All right.
So listen, in all seriousness, there is a report that, someone died. Now, we're making light of a lot of things, and death is not something to laugh at. So we don't have the full story. You know how things go in America. They announce shenanigans before they even know anything. So, I mean, I don't want people to really feel like we are just like slamming the fact that when someone did die. So I do want you to know that we are serious about that.
And we're not sure how that person died, if they were shot, because the report's not saying that they were shot. It said they died. It said the shooter was killed, which means that the shooter was shot by Secret Service.
Right.
That is, and guess what? That is their job. The same way those Secret Service people shot Ashley Babbitt when she was trying to get at Nancy Pelosi. That is what they do. They are supposed to shoot to kill, not
they did their job.
They're supposed to shoot to kill. Their job is to protect the president at all costs, or former president, or whoever their charge is. And if they have to kill, they will kill. Period. The only reason they didn't kill the guy that shot Reagan was there were so many people around when that happened.
So just to update, I'm just reading it here. This is from CNN. The shooter involved in the incident has been, quote, neutralized, unquote, according to multiple law enforcement sources. The shooter and one audience member are dead after the shooting at the Pennsylvania rally, according to Butler County District Attorney Richard Goldinger. The DA also said that a second spectator is in serious condition.
Yeah. So it might be because, it looks like that one thing grazed Trump, so it might have hit somebody behind him.
All right. You know what? We're going to stop for this now because we can go on this forever. So let's move to another interesting topic. Something that these two ladies talked about a long time ago. And all of a sudden, especially the Democratic Party, especially Taraji P. Henson, talked about doing the BET Awards, Project 2025. And before we get into that, I want to source back to the article I read from NPR that I read earlier between the conversation between Mary Louise Kelly and Domenico Montanaro. Mary Louise Kelly, and this is, I think, from an interview yesterday from their All Things Considered show. Mary Louise Kelly said, indeed. Okay, one thing to ask about. This was from our poll, which I know asked about Project 2025 blueprint. This is from the Heritage Foundation. It has become associated with 45, even as he has disavowed parts of it. Do you? Why does that matter? What did our survey find? Montanaro said, well, a lot of people don't like Project 2025. There are many people who are unsure about it, but 15% have a favorable opinion. That's it. 41% have a negative opinion on it. And that's why might be why you see 45 distancing himself so heavily from the controversial parts of this, because it's pretty unpopular. And going to the convention next week, he really wants to try to eschew some of the most extreme positions. Now, the poll has also found that Democrats and independents largely do associate it with 45. And Mary Louise Kelly said, right? And Montero says, and for good reason. While he and his campaign didn't come up with it directly, a lot of people involved in writing it do have ties to 45. I'll stop there. Ladies, chime in.
Before we get to that, just to breaking news that Joe Biden is on right now addressing the nation about what just happened. And he's basically saying there's no room for political violence in this country. Doesn't matter what side you're on. Let's see what else.
Maybe I'll come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement.
He said he's going to put out a statement a little later tonight, and he might come back later tonight once they have more information. He's trying to get more information from the Secret Service. So that's where that stands on Project 2025. Donald Trump's trying to disavow it by saying he's doing Agenda 47, but Agenda 47 is Project 2025 for idiots, people who don't read. People who don't read. It's basically a bullet point list of what he wants to do. And I said this on our part that didn't get recorded, is that's the cheat sheet for people who don't want to read the full book. So that's the thing that they want to do. The Project 2025 is their manual for how to do it. And that's why it's so long. But also, too, Donald Trump disavows it and then gets caught on camera giving a speech to the Heritage Foundation, talking specifically about Project 2025 and different tenets within it. So for him to say that he does not know anything about it, he talked about it to the Heritage Foundation. And the top 3 people who are responsible for coalescing all these stories and essays and things together work for his current campaign. So it's all bull when he says that he has no knowledge of it or anything like that. But what I can say is this: Taraji P. Henson, and here's the reason why Donald Trump is like, oh, I disavow it. Taraji P. Henson brought knowledge to it and attention to it at the BET Awards. Why is this important? Because BET is no longer owned by Black folks.
Yeah.
So BET is owned by MTV networks. Every MTV owned network ran the BET Awards. TV Land, Pop, MTV, VH1, Logo, and the Spanish channel, one of the Spanish channels, and several other channels like, Comedy Network. All these channels that MTV owns ran the BET Awards that night. So it reached far beyond Black people. Who's watching TV Land? These are people that are pretty much older, over 50, watching these old school TV shows. Golden Girls is on TV Land all the time. Okay, so these are the people that are watching this as she's saying this. And it just so happened that after she said it, Project 2025 was the most searched phrase that week. And that is something that Trump pays attention to. He pays attention to ratings. He pays attention to rankings. And to see that it was trending that way and that people were overtly concerned about it, he had to say something. He had to say and distance himself from something. Because, remember, he still thinks that he's got to assure his people that they're not going to get swallowed up in the Project 2025 as well. Because what's been pointed out about it is that he's coming for everybody. He's coming for everybody. Everybody.
Yeah, he's made that very clear.
Yeah. And so that, I think that we can't express enough what Project 2025 is going to do. I mean, I look at different bits and pieces. People will ask me, well, what does it say about this? And I'll go back and I look, and I'm even more and more surprised about the different things that they want to do. Like, one of the things that they want to do is, repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Yeah.
I mean, the tenet that says, you don't have to do that anymore that Obama got rid of. They want to put that back in place, but they also want to go through the army, the military, and remove all LGBTQ people from the military and stop the ones who are getting benefits from getting benefits. So you're talking about somebody like Pete Buttigieg. Okay.
Okay, I just want to, and I have, for those who are watching, I've put up an article about Project 2025 on the screen. I've also, on whatever platform you're watching this, most of them, I put up a link going through this story. But what I am going to do is just read through some quick parts of it. In the area of government, Project 2025 proposed that the entire federal bureaucracy, including independent agencies such as the Department of Justice, be placed under direct presidential control. A controversial idea known as, quote, unitary executive theory. In practice,
before you go further with that, though, Dr. Vibe, I do want to say this because remember, I did read all those executive orders that both Trump and Biden did, and for Donald Trump to say he disavows it. He tried doing that already through executive order when he was president the first time. So he wrote an executive order to that end. It just never got implemented because all the people in these agencies were stopping him from doing it.
Yeah. So it says in practice, this would eliminate this. The proposals also call for eliminating job protection for thousands of government employees who could then be replaced by political appointees. The document,
and that is why, and that's why it goes back to that executive order. What he learned the first term was that he has to get rid of those people who stopped him from doing that the first time he wrote that executive order.
Okay. And the document also labeled the FBI as, quote, a bloated, arrogant, increasingly lawless organization, unquote. It calls for drastic overhauls of this and several other federal agencies, as well as the complete elimination of the Department of Education. The Republican Party platform also includes a proposal to declassify government records, root out wrongdoers, and fire corrupt employees, unquote. Pledges to slash deregulation and government spending, and also just eliminating the Department of Education. But it stopped short of providing a sweeping overhaul of federal agencies outlined. So the Republican Party is trying to push back on it. Abortion and family, it does not call for outright for the nationwide.
But that slashing of the budget really should scare people. I mean, the cutting of government spending. You know what he's saying there? He's saying that he wants to take away the power of the purse from the House of Representatives, put it under the auspices of the president, and then the president decides where your tax dollars go and to whom and to what projects, which means that he is going to pull money from blue states who will be getting no funds for the things that they need to run, which means your upkeep of your highways. It means for federal grants to your schools and things like that for improvements. None of that money will go to blue states. He'll give it to the red states. So you will be living in your blue state, working hard, paying higher taxes than some people in red states do because you're paying for the things that they want. The closing of the Department of Education. I said this last year. What was the ultimate goal of Moms for Liberty, starting with Florida? I told everybody, watch what they're doing in Florida because they're going to try and do it for the rest of the country. It was to privatize schools. If they close the Department of Education, a lot of Title I schools, those are poor schools, mostly in poor communities, mostly in Black and brown communities, will not have the funding to educate those kids, and they'll have to close.
All right, I'm going to quickly cover two more areas quickly. Abortion and family. Project 25 does not call for the outright nationwide a nationwide abortion ban. However, it proposes withdrawing the abortion pill. I can't pronounce this. Mifepristone. Thank you, mifepristone from the market, and using existing but little enforced laws to stop the drug from being sent through the post. The document suggests
they're already doing. Just so you know, they're already trying to do that in Colorado.
Yes, mm-hmm. The document suggests that the Department of Health and Human Services should maintain a biblically based social science reinforced definition of marriage and family, unquote. On this issue, at least, the document differs fairly substantially from the Republican platform, which only mentions the word, quote, abortion only once, which is interesting because the Republican platform is very small and leaves out a lot of things. The platform says abortion law should be left.
But this should unnerve people on the issue of abortion.
I don't know why it's not unnerving people.
Family, they snuck in marriage in abortion and family. They snuck in marriage, which basically means that they can decide who can and cannot get married, even two straight people, if they don't like the fact that two people of different races or different religions are getting married. They're making the federal government make those determinations and definitions for people based on religion. Well, we have freedom of religion, right? Because guess what? Marriage in this country is a legal binding agreement. They're trying to shift that from being a legally binding agreement to something that is only binding legally if it is biblically enforced.
No, y'all, period. N-O. This is a sneaky tactic, although it's out in the open. The problem is people want to not read it for themselves and understand it. What they want is Cliff Notes. This document is so very important that Cliff Notes are not acceptable. Stop listening to what you see on the news. Stop listening to what you see on TikTok and Instagram. What you need to do is to download the document yourself and read it and get your understanding for yourself. This is not something that you can depend on others for. You need to understand what it says in your own terms, with your own eyes. And matter of fact, I'm pretty sure somebody's probably got it on an audio book for you right now. And if I have to get on here and read it for 900 pages, I will do so. But you cannot just assume and guess what this says and let people sway you that way. You need to understand what it says for yourself and see the clear and present danger that this is happening, and they've already started to put into place. You don't understand.
They've made it very easy for you too, because they've indexed it. If you get the digital version, their list of chapters, you can go through, see what interests you, click on it, it'll take you right to that section. They made it easy. They made it easy for their people to get to and read. But guess what? It's also easy for our people to get to and read. And you need to go and do that. And you know, every time I wonder about something particular that they might do, like for example, them talking about firing over 50,000 civil service workers. These are people who are just hired to do a job. They don't put partisan politics into their job. They do their job. If they're accountants, they do the accounting the way it's supposed to be done, period. But they're wanting to replace them with people who are loyal to Trump. And how do we know this? Because they've said it in there. But guess what else we also know that they did? And we only know this because you read it in there. They have begun the process of having people apply for jobs in the Trump administration.
And they've already got them lined up.
Service jobs. So they have a list of over, I think they said they have a list of over 2 million people that they can select from to install when they fire all these people. And one of the questions on that list is, what do you think of Donald Trump? And do you support Donald Trump?
Yes.
They have
better get that answer
questions
correct.
That are loyalty based. And so you've got to be very careful about that part of it, because these loyalty based questions, you know, you can work for the federal government right now and think your job is safe because you put in X number of years and you're close to retirement. But guess what? If he wins, you got 2 years left before retirement. You won't make your retirement age, therefore you won't get your benefits. That's the other part too, because guess who the first people they're going to get rid of are the people that they would have to pay benefits to, pensions to, because they're going to take your pension money and they're gonna put it in Donald Trump's pocket, because Donald Trump's got bills to pay outside of being the president. And if you don't think that he's not going to use the American tax dollars to pay off all his debts.
Oh, he's already doing it. Every time he has a problem, he has a fundraiser.
Exactly. But now we're talking about using all of our dollars to pay for his debts.
Listen, y'all, we literally, this Project 2025 is stripping you of absolutely every right that you have as a citizen of the United States of America. If you do not follow what they want you to do, we are clearly following the same blueprint that Hitler has put out. I kid you not. I literally sat down and watched and read a lot of that, and it's the same language. And then I watched the documentary, and it's a wonderful documentary on Netflix about Hitler's rise and fall. And if you go back to the very, very beginning, you will see how he started to rise very slowly, but he started talking to the people the way that they wanted to hear, and the people who were proud of their country. And so therefore, this is how this all started from the very beginning. So the playbook that he gave, which is on Donald Trump's nightstand, according to the ones he loves, is the exact same book that they're playing from with this. They've been planning this for many, many years and just waiting for the right alignment to come. And so now the right alignment is here. So this is not fluff. This is not a scare tactic that we're doing for you. I need you to be very clear on that. This is what is happening now. And if you don't like what's happening now, then you need to really understand that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. And the other thing too is that if you so much as even taking a racial sensitivity training class as a civil servant, which has been required. Okay. Let's not forget that that's been required. You are in danger of losing your civil service job. Okay. Something that you were mandated to do, whether you wanted to or not, you're in danger of losing that civil service job. But the thing about going back to what LaLa said about Hitler, looking at the documentary, but also reading some other things, I had to go back to before his rise. Remember he didn't become the leader of Germany the first time he tried to. The first time he tried to, they thought of him as a joke. They took him as a joke. Remember who else people took as a joke in 2015 when he was running for president? Donald Trump. Remember Marco Rubio, Lindsey Graham, Nikki Haley, all these people who support him now thought of him as a joke. He was a joke to them. And that fueled his anger the same way it fueled Hitler's anger. And what Hitler did was basically the same thing. I'm going to get back at everybody. I'm going to get rid of the people that I hate. They're going to the gas chambers too, even if they are not Jewish. People who belittled me are going. Also, too, the people who laughed at me, they're going to be sycophants on my side, because they'll know that if they don't, where they will end up. And that is basically the same. Donald Trump used, and I hate to use this metaphor, but he used social media as his way of annihilating people that belittled him, to the point that they were afraid of these people were afraid of a tweet.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They were afraid of a tweet where he would call them names. Lindsey Graham cowering in his closet over the fact that Trump might tweet out that he's gay, something that people already know. But he's been in such fear of that coming out. You know who else wielded power like that in a very similar way to Hitler over this country? J. Edgar Hoover. When he was in charge of the FBI. He had all those politicians. There's a reason he worked for as many presidents as he did. He had secrets on all of them.
And that's how he got over.
And that's how he got over. And his thing was, this information came out. We found this information now. I can protect it. I can protect this information from coming out and protect you. I just need to keep my job.
All right. We're going to move forward. Just a few more comments on the project. Ryan says it's absolutely absurd how restrictions on marriage and abortion are not things of the past. Also, Regina says what's happening right now is the far right will be claiming that dangerous left rhetoric is causing violence.
They've already started. No, baby, they've already started. I'm looking at my.
They've already started. They've already started. And the bizarre part of it is that, come on, these were not liberal people going to a Trump rally.
Well, okay. Let's move on. Speaking about 45 and Epstein testimony. LaLa, you wanted to talk about this one.
Yes, because no one else is. And I'm really angry about this. You really shouldn't have to go to other places to get the news and the documents that you need. The mainstream media needs to be talking about this. And there is videotaped testimony from this lady who was 13, 14 years old at the time, giving her statement and why she gave her statement and how she lives in such horror of the fact that she thought that Donald Trump was going to be president, and it was all suppressed before he won that presidency. So I'm going to need y'all to understand that you need to start looking for yourself again, because this is being hidden. But you need to look up the Epstein Trump documents as well as the testimony. I'm telling you, you will be horrified and disgusted, and you'll be angry at why this is not in the mainstream media. But I'm very proud of this congressman right now, because he stood up and he literally said this out loud with his whole chest on why you should be paying attention to what's going on in Trump. He did not flinch. He said it with all of his whole heart and tried to get it in the media. It wasn't covered like it should have been covered. Now,
But
you're going to have to literally
instead they got him confused. Instead, the New York Times got him confused with someone else saying that he said Joe Biden should step down. It wasn't him. It was another Asian person.
Yeah.
That was the story. That was the story that they ran concerning Ted Lieu instead of this.
Exactly. So there's a reason they're hiding all of this stuff. I'm sorry, but I've believed it from day one. I've always believed it. I've always believed the rape cases and all this stuff, because you don't have this many people coming forward and saying that these ladies are convicted and telling you what happened to them. And these people are always talking about they want to protect children, but they're also the main predators. So I have an issue with the fact that the media is not reporting this. And I think it's important for us to discuss this here on this platform, because if one person, just one person, finds out and goes and reads about this, then we've done our job. They really need to go and really see what the horrific things that are done by rich people who think they could get away with everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyone want to add in regards to this one?
No, I agree. You've got it's something that you've got to read for yourself, because we're talking about, and we're not just talking about 18, 19-year-olds. We're talking about 12 and 13-year-olds, okay? And the horrific things that happen to them, basically being sexually trafficked by Epstein, and Trump being among the recipients of those sexual favors.
Yeah, Regina said he said how 45 knew Epstein preferred young girls if he wasn't involved. Wow.
Yeah, he lets his own tongue slip, but the problem is, y'all know, all the MAGA love everything he say. All the MAGA loves absolutely everything. He came out and said, grab him in the pee. He came out and said, he actually has said some pretty gross things about his daughter. I mean, that really should grate you. Those are alarm bells in the first place. But if you read and you listen to this testimony, you will see why what I just said is so disgusting.
Okay. We're going to close it off because this is an all political conversation like it is most of the time. But I didn't know anything about this person until, of course, the ladies bring this gentleman up. Byron Donalds.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm going to let Aisha handle this one.
Okay, so his ex-wife, Black woman, gave an interview with the Florida Trident, I believe it was. Her name is Bisa Hall, Bisa Hall, and she used to be married to Byron Donalds. The same Byron Donalds who said that the Black family was more together under Jim Crow, that's his ex-wife, okay? So much for the Black family staying intact, right? So Byron Donald and Bisa met when they were students at FAMU. I didn't know that Byron Donalds went to an HBCU, but apparently he did. So when they first met, you know, he is of Jamaican descent. His mother is Jamaican. However, he was not born in Jamaica. He was born in New York. So when he met her, he pretended to have a Jamaican accent because he wanted to stand out. And then the next time he saw her, he didn't have the accent. Okay, so she basically, this article says that he's dangerous. She's in that he's an opportunist. She mentions how he used to work at Cracker Barrel. He used to work at a whole bunch of other things. He used to work at the FAMU bookstore, which he stole from. He had been arrested on possession charges with intent to distribute. And then his current wife, he got pregnant while he was married to the Black woman.
Ouch.
Went to the Black woman and, well, he had already been cheating on her, then decided he didn't want to do that. And he went back to her and said he wants his family back, meaning just her, because they didn't have any kids, and that he wants his marriage to stay intact. The woman finds out she's pregnant, tells Byron, and then all of a sudden Byron's like, okay, changes course, but asks Bisa to pay for the divorce, and that once he's set and everything is situated, he will pay her back. She said it's been 20 years. He has not paid her back a dime yet, and he makes $176,000 in Congress. So he did, and then he did get married to a woman whose family has money, but also are staunchly in the Republican Party and are also active in the party. And so she said that Byron had been very, very liberal while they were in college and throughout their whole marriage. And he switched parties because he saw an opportunity to run for office through his family, his new family money through his wife. And that he will say and do anything for the benefit of just being popular and making money, even though he doesn't believe any of it.
A come up. So JJ Mars says Byron is just another disgrace. Minion Cam says my parents are Jamaican. My parents are Jamaican. The accent only comes out when I'm angry. Otherwise, it's Canadian. So yeah, where did this guy come from? Like all of a sudden, and isn't it rumored that he's actually being considered by 45 as a vice presidential candidate?
Well, that's what they say, but come on.
Oh, it's bull.
You can't. No. See, no. Trump's not going to have another criminal on the ticket.
Ouch.
He's the big criminal in charge, okay?
Ouch.
So Byron Donalds is not going to be on that ticket. Byron Donalds claims that he became, that he was inspired by Christian nationalism when he was working in Cracker Barrel and saw these 12 women who were evangelicals. His wife said that was a surprise to her to hear that, because when he was working at Cracker Barrel, they were married, and she said he had no religious convergence. He was not religious at all, as a matter of fact. She said he was a straight up heathen.
Oh, J.G. Marr says Byron's personal history mirrors that of Clarence Thomas.
Sure does. And here's the other thing.
Ooh.
Last I heard Byron Donalds' last job was at Cracker Barrel. What was he doing between Cracker Barrel and Congress? He went from Cracker Barrel, like Tim Scott went from Cotton to Congress. This fool went from Cracker Barrel to Congress.
I know you're almost wanting to say another thing instead of Cracker Barrel, but I'm gonna let it be. Well,
no, because he worked at Cracker Barrel, but you know.
No. LaLa, I didn't know you have a new adopted resident of your home state this evening.
Welcome to Kentucky.
No, this is all New Haven. We don't play.
All right. I think on that note, we're going to, as I say, shut it down.
I'm just saying, read the article, because I was reading it and I was clocking all the tea and I just was cracking up, because I'm like, this dude is a clown.
She told it all. She told it all.
Here's the thing. here's the thing. When you go to the circus, you should expect to see a clown or two.
Yeah.
And right now, the Republican Party is a circus.
Cue the music. Cue the clown music.
Oh my goodness. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually, while we're on live here, in the comment section, I'm actually gonna put a link to the article for the family to read. So let me do that quickly before we shut it down. I'm gonna put a link to the article about Byron. She don't hold back, family. She does not hold back. Like, if he
the only thing she didn't go into, the only thing she didn't go into were certain things about their marriage, but about him and the kind of person he is, she told it all.
Yeah. So for those watching on Facebook,
and she said she had to come out because this was just the stuff with Trump was too much. But she only wanted to give so much, and I you can't blame her because she will become a target of MAGA, and she wants to maintain her safety. And as we see, she's right to want to maintain her safety.
Yeah. So on most platforms that you're watching this on replay, it's in the comment section. It's on my LinkedIn page or my Twitch feed, but on the Facebook and YouTube, the link is there. So that's it for today's conversation. A few other comments before we shut it down this evening. Minyan Camp says, I love my golden girls. Dr. Tachi says, Minyan Cam, me too. Minyan Cam says, I was a kid when the show came out, but watching it now, and it's hilarious. Dr. Tachi says, yes, I was in grammar school too, but I loved it then and I love it now. Minyan Cam says, the USA mental illness access is a horrible maze to navigate. And his comment on mental illness, I feel it will get worse. With his comments on mental illness, the maze will get worse.
Yes.
Minyan says, I say that about disability policy all the time. People need to read the policy manual.
Mm-hmm.
And Regina says, I was approached by an old pervert in Florida in 1980 to be, quote, a waitress, unquote, on a private yacht. These creeps are everywhere, preying on young women and girls.
Yes.
Oh, and I'm just finding out too, Dr. Ruth died.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she did pass away.
Shelley Duvall and Richard Simmons.
Yes, Shelley Duvall. And who?
Shelley Duvall.
Yes.
Richard Simmons died. Yes, I just saw that.
Yes, Shelley Duvall, probably her most famous role, The Shining.
Yeah.
You know what? I remember Shelley Duvall from when we were little. HBO used to run these fairy tales, tale episodes, and she did Rapunzel, and she just had this addiction for radishes while she was pregnant with Rapunzel, and she had them chocolate covered, she had them fried, she had them sliced, she had them raw, and it was so funny. So when I was telling my sisters that Shelley Duvall died, because we used to watch that all the time when we were little girls and just sit and watch it, and that was our favorite one. My youngest sister actually happened to have a rhubarb and radish candle, and so she lit the candle for Shelley Duvall.
Aww.
There we go.
That's
we go. Minyan Cam says, R.I.P. Richard Simmons, the workout guy. Yeah, absolutely. All right, family. As always, we want to say thank you for the ladies for coming back, and also especially to LaLa, the hard, as I said before we went live, the hardest working online lady that I know. Period. Stop. Done. She everywhere. Like she's not Googleicious. She's ish. Not Google, she's ish. All right. Before we let everyone say au revoir, LaLa, how do we get in touch with you when you're not, or when you're on, when you're everywhere? There we go. LaLa is everywhere. That's the new name of the show. LaLa is everywhere.
I am everywhere. So that's why I made it very easy for you to find where those everywheres are. You could just hit me up at bit.ly/Laura Key Info. You'll find all my platforms there.
100%. And Aisha K?
Yep, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram
Uh, yes, and now you can't. Okay, and you can't find our show on Twitter anymore. But we'll put the
No,
link up on our Twitter feed of
sure
the.
will.
All right, all right. That is it. So for today, that's a wrap. So I'd like to say thank you for watching the conversation, whether it's live or on replay or listening it on the replay. If you want to get a hold of me, here we go. The website, the drvibeshow.com, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, the space, DR period space, VIBE space, SHOW, Instagram, The Dr. Vibe Show, X/Twitter, DRVIBESHOW, and email DR period VIBE at the DRVIBESHOW.com. So before we shut it down, last thing, let's do some things. Let's do it here. You can watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. The Dr. Vibe Show website also. And I will say again, please, if you haven't and you feel up to it, subscribe on YouTube. We've hit 1,500. Let's hit 1,600. Let's make it happen. Finally, Primetime Saturday store. There's the link. Primetime, when they record full shows, by the way, at Patreon. That's the link. And join the Discord group. Email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show again on YouTube. Hit the notification button. Also, like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And finally, to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm part of, dr.vibe, excuse me, at the drvibeshow.com. As always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember, don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourselves grace. And thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time, but follow us wherever we are. Especially, well, LaLa's everywhere. We're just trying to catch up to LaLa. Bye.